Let's be real, Bethesda has dropped the ball in recent years when it comes to good Fallout. 3 in New Vegas were great, 4 was mid, and 76 never happened. But what if I told you that some Brits on the other side of the pond did in their free time what Bethesda devs couldn't do if their lives depended on it, and made a freaking good Fallout game? And what if I tried to beat that game without taking damage? Can you beat Fallout London on 1 HP? This run is done in honor of Paul, whose shoulders I stand on. His no damage runs were some of the first videos of his that I saw, and they're still some of my favorites to this day. I hope that my take on this lives up to the standards he set. For those of you who aren't familiar with Fallout London, let me give you a quick rundown. It's a total conversion mod that creates a completely new game using the Fallout 4 game engine as its base. A lot of people have called this a DLC-sized mod in regards to how much content it adds, but that's underselling it, and you'll see why. As for the challenge of this run, it's exactly as it sounds. I'm on 1 HP and I can't take damage. I woke to find myself in a test tube. Not sure who these guys are or what they're doing here, but I don't recall consenting to any of this. While submerged, I took the opportunity to craft the ideal British specimen, with a jawline that will make Dream jealous, and then named myself after the only Englishman who matters. I built my special around VATS and stealth, since those are very important when embarking on a no damage run. I gave myself a 9 in agility for those sweet action points, a 6 in perception for more accurate VATS, and a 5 in strength so I could actually carry more than 2 pounds. Unfortunately, that meant I sacrificed my charisma and intelligence. Thus, a limber, unlikable retard was born. For my starting perks, I went with Gifted, which increased all my special stats by 1, but at the cost of 15% less XP from now on. And Sleepwalker, which causes you to wake up in a random location after sleeping, because who wouldn't want to turn naps into a game of Russian roulette? Right when I was about to get comfy in my bacta tank, some Peaky Blinder looking blokes busted through the wall and murderized the scientist, inadvertently freeing me. After crawling out of my tube, I used a console command to lower my maximum health, but since I didn't know what my max health was, I went a little too far and killed myself. I had to wait until I got my hands on an off-brand Pip-Boy so I could see what my health was currently set at. This command let me set my HP to exactly 1. So now, any damage that I take will kill me, forcing me to beat every quest without taking damage. Unfortunately, your max health increases every time you level up, so I had to be diligent to reset it back down to 1 HP throughout this playthrough. As I made my way through the laboratory, I picked up a sweet t-shirt, punched a rat, got insulted by some guy named Smythe, punched a few more rats, and crashed a train. As I emerged from the ashes, I ran into one Sebastian Gaunt of the Vagabonds. He gave me your standard Londoners starting pack and invited me to join his game. I unwittingly made a critical error right here. It turns out that you don't have to do jack diddly squat with the Vagabonds and can still beat the game just fine. I, however, did everything with the Vagabonds and added a whopping 16 hours worth of gameplay to this run. That's long enough for its own dedicated video. So stay tuned for a Can You Beat the Vagabond questline without taking damage, coming soon to a YouTube channel near you. Suffice to say, this video will only be covering what I did for the main quest because the main quest itself took roughly 38 hours for me to complete. But I will mention some notable loot that I gained during the Vagabond's questline that really helped out in this run. I got a unique laser rifle, a silenced .32 pistol, and a sick .303 sniper rifle, to which I later added a suppressor, making it the second best gun I found. Gaunt told me that if I wanted more info on the lab I just escaped from, I should go to a place called Thames Haven. On my way, I adopted a stray dog and got pulled into some factory drama. The owner there tasked me with busting up a newly formed union that was advocating for nonsense like overtime pay and lunch breaks. Man, frick yo minimum wage. After knocking off the union boss, I went to collect my fee. But the manager wasn't too keen on the fact that I left brains all over his wall, so he cut my pay in half. That son of a motherless goat. Leaving the factory in shambles, I decided to take a quick nap. and woke up on the other side of the map. Literally. I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to be on the other side of the river at this point, but I took full advantage of the Trafalgar Market, which had a much better supply of ammo and weapons than any vendor on the east side. While exploring the west side of Old Blighty, I noticed a strange and disturbing bug. I took damage, but did not die. I'm still on 1 HP, and the GOG shirt that I've been rocking doesn't provide any defense, so I should be dead. But I'm not. I think it might have something to do with how radiation affects your health bar, because anytime I was exposed to radiation, my health dropped to 0 out of 1 without killing me. But I really have no idea. I just have to pay extra attention from now on, and reload a save whenever this happens. I then remembered that there was a main quest or something that I need to be doing, and I should probably stop wasting time and actually get to Thames Haven, which is a little shanty town nestled along the Thames River. After sprinting past all the rats and leeches, I arrived, and blimey, the rads have not been kind to these people. In order to get any info on the lab, I had to help them solve their infestation problem. Apparently they're too cowardly to deal with it themselves. Navigating the maze that these people call a town was a nightmare. But I eventually dealt with the problem in the most American way possible. And the Thames folk told me to talk to a kid who had spent some time held captive in another lab like the one I woke up in. I tracked down the snot-nosed brat, but he couldn't just tell me where he was kidnapped. No. That would be too easy. I need to get him across the river so he can show me. But you know, a short boat ride with a fishman doesn't sound that bad, right? Wrong. You do not know how wrong you are. You see, the river that we need to sail through is crawling with hooligans, who are basically British raiders. To make matters worse, you are immobile during this boat ride, unable to quick save, and completely without cover. My sniper rifle could kill a hooligan in one headshot, but that's not an easy thing to do. Not to mention, it's a single shot, so the reload time is horribly slow. VATS helps a lot with both of these problems, but I only have so many action points. I tried to supplement that with Hero, which is a drug that briefly slows down time, but my sniper rifle was so slow on the reload that I could only get in one shot for every dose. I switched to a 303 service rifle, which is less accurate but much quicker and just as deadly. With this strategy, I could get to about the halfway point, but no further. There's just too many goons on all sides, and they all have aimbot. I tried several different strats to get through. Sneaking didn't work, and there aren't any stealth boys that I'm aware of in this mod. I even tried glitching my way through by fast traveling out of the boat and trying to just wait for the boatman to, get to the other side of the river, but that just broke my game. Shocker, I know. It slowly became apparent that there was no way for me to get through this mission without taking damage. So I took an L. I turned on God mode and cruised through. And in case you were doubting me on the difficulty of this task, just look at this. The Ferryman is practically trying to get me killed. And what's even worse is he only dropped me off a couple hundred feet from where we started. I could have freaking walked here. Moving on. I found the secret lab under the George Washington Monument, guarded by living proof that birds aren't real. Inside, Churchill, who's the dog I adopted by the way, made a great distraction for the turrets while I explored the building. While exploring, I stumbled across an albino Shrek, after which we engaged in a rousing game of Ring Around the Rosie, which I won. Unfortunately, I found no clues. The kid's last lead was a ghoul named Lazarus, who also spent time in that same lab, but has since gone missing. Time to Sherlock it up. His trail led me through hooligans, priests, cultists, and even a Frenchman. I eventually discovered that he was being held prisoner by the Isle of Dogs Syndicate. All you need to know about them right now is that they are a humongous gang in the east side of London with terrible fashion taste. Going in guns blazing is never a good option on a no damage run, but even stealth skills weren't all that useful here. There must have been 30 goons in this one courtyard that I had to cross, and they're all very perceptive. I'll give Fallout 4 this over New Vegas. Its NPCs aren't quite as stupid. They tend to notice when their friend's head gets popped and start scouring the area very thoroughly. I had to resort to, once again, using my faithful companion to distract them all while I sprinted inside the building. I found Laz chillin', listened to his long and very interesting history, and got the location of a huge underground lab in Islington. The bad news is that face masks are still mandatory in Islington even to this day, and the only chaps around who bothered keeping any are the Tommies. Now you might be wondering, what are the Tommies? Good question. I don't know. Military dudes of some sort, but I really didn't do a lot with them, so you'll have to play Fallout London yourself if you want more backstory. I'm sorry, I can't do it all for you guys. You need to stop touching grass for a minute, get inside, and play some freaking video games if you want this info. In order to get an N95, I had to do the Tommies a quick favor. Just genocide all the hooligans in the Bank of England. Easy peasy, lemon for breezy, you know what I'm saying. This went okay. Tight quarters make for a tough time on 1 HP, but fortunately, I'm not above save scumming. After clearing out the rabble, I heard a fair damsel calling out in distress. I opened the vault and found Kira. She offered me a job as her personal attendant, and I accepted, forgetting that you can only have one follower at a time. I never saw Churchill again. Oh well, Kira can shoot and wear funny outfits, and boy were there some doozies. But I'm getting distracted. All masked up, I set off for the hidden lab. I navigated my way through feral fashionistas and dilapidated sewers, eventually emerging into Islington, which is about as habitable as modern-day Birmingham. Radiation storms are very frequent in this area, and when your health bar is only 1 HP, it quickly gets engulfed with radiation damage. I was forced to hide inside quite often, and not always with the best of company. I made my way down into the metro tunnels and found the lab full of clones and Angel conscripts. Angel appears to be an Illuminati-esque fashion run by this Smythe dude from earlier. I Metal Geared my way through the base and narrowly missed Smythe. He fled on a train, activating a self-destruct on his way out. The self-destruct switch was guarded by 6 albinos. Fortunately, they aren't very agile and refuse to use guns, so they're pretty easy to outmaneuver. I dispatched them and deactivated the countdown just in the nick of time. On my second try. Smythe, upon realizing that the place didn't go boom, called in to personally invite me to his office in Westminster to work out a resolution to our little feud. Up until now, I haven't been allowed inside that part of London. The gentry are pretty snobbish and went with the riffraff like myself in. Until now, and boy howdy, it's like a different world in there. Westminster is truly the Vegas Strip of London. I haven't commented on the quality of this mod yet, but if this doesn't convince you to give it a whirl, I don't know what will. This place is beautiful. I wandered around, checked out the sights, admired the train wreckage I made way back when, killed a fireman for his squirt gun, and was disappointed that I couldn't steal it. Stupid mod, I take back all my praise. I rolled up to the palace, demanding to speak with the queen, or Smythe. I'll settle for either, I don't care. The guard, though, told me that a pleb like myself would never be let in the palace. I could get in, however, if I became the representative for all of London's boroughs, which is a made-up British word for town. To become this rep, all I'd need to do is get all the leaders of the boroughs to sign a petition. Sounds easy enough, right? I started off by ingratiating myself with the Pistols of Camden. They're pretty chill, but they aren't too keen on letting a stranger become their representative before Parliament. If I ever wanted their John Hancock, I was gonna have to join their gang, which involves a lot of side questing, so I got to work. I started by Americanizing their public school, evicting the glowing ones who were using their water reservoirs as jacuzzis, and acquired a stash of guns halfway across the map for them. I know that sounds quick because it's all one sentence, but this took a while. On one of these missions, Lady Luck smiled down on me. I happened across the most broken gun in this mod, a freaking musket. Normally the muskets aren't anything great because the reload time is longer than an NHS hospital queue. But I found a neat little workaround in VATS. namely you can just spam shots. And since I modified it to shoot junk by making it into a blunderbuss, it's basically a junk jet that does 141 damage per shot. Well, I finally got all those side quests done and officially joined the Pistols. They awarded me with a sick bullet hose, but no signature. I've still got a long way to go before becoming their rep. This is just one out of the 4 factions that I need to befriend, and I'm already 40 hours into this run. Screw this, it's time to commit fraud. There's a man in Westminster who, for a certain price, will forge all the signatures for you. Normally, this is stupid expensive as each signature drastically increases in price. But he forgot to charge me, and I still had all my tickets at the end. Cool bug, I like it. I delivered the petition to the befuddled guards, was directed to the super secret, definitely not a trap entrance around back, and found myself in prison with a life sentence. Man, didn't see that one coming. Fortunately, Smythe isn't exactly popular among his subordinates, and one of them helped me escape, and even directed me to another traitor who could help me kill Smythe. I stormed the Museum of Technology and made contact with Mr. X. He informed me that Smythe was making a rare appearance at the local Renaissance Fair, providing us with the perfect opportunity to kill him. I infiltrated the tourney, planted a bomb, and nuked the place. Don't worry about the innocent bystanders. I'm sure they did something to deserve this. Unfortunately, Smythe wasn't there. He was playing 4D chess and predicted all this would happen. Well, since terrorism doesn't seem to be working, I guess it's time for a straight-up revolution. I joined the Knights of Camelot, who are fighting for a free, democratic England. But nobody really cares about that. I got a freaking bow, baby! And I definitely didn't have to murder anyone for it. Arthur put me to work right away. I settled some land disputes, played some pranks on the Tommies, found an infinite arrow glitch, and got rejected by Kira. Brutally.
Surely you jest, companion. Stop it. Get away.
They can, in fact, say much worse than no. I threw myself into my work to cope. And there's a lot of work to be done, as Camelot has just been blamed for a bombing in Eastminster. Being something of a terrorist myself, I quickly deduced that this was actually a setup by a rival revolutionary faction called the Fifth Column. I reported my findings to Arthur and was officially knighted. Sadly though, they gave me a new unpronounceable name. Before I could object to this besmirchment of the glorious name of Ramsay, the Tommies launched an all-out assault on Camelot since they now thought we were all terrorists. And to be fair, I am, but everyone else here is just a rebel. The battle, though, went pretty smoothly. I let my comrades run ahead into danger while I hung back and took potshots at Tommies from a safe distance. After successfully repelling the invasion, it was deduced that there must have been a spy among us. I waterboarded a few prisoners and discovered the location that the spy dropped off his intel, which turned out to be a mechanized P.O. box with fly hacks. The mail inside indicated the imposter was a gambler, so Lancelot and I held a very fair duel to lure him out. We sent the spy off to the torturers and began our plan to conquer London. To do so, however, we needed allies. And who better to ally with than the faction with whom we were just at war? I waltzed into the Tommy base, proposed an alliance, and they were surprisingly into it. Maybe it's because their general was just found dead in a cornfield, killed by his own men. Their new commanders signed off on the treaty, and we could move on to destroying the Fifth Column. The revolutionary game is cutthroat, no competition allowed. In order to launch an attack on the column's headquarters, we needed a much closer base of operations, and the Tower of London was looking extra submissive and breedable. I snuck in and stealth killed an entire army's worth of cannibals. They never knew what hit them. The next few missions were child's play. Disguised, I waltzed into several column bases to commit sabotage, and we were ready to wipe them out. I gotta reiterate, it's so nice having a ton of dudes with you when you only have 1 HP. I let all the knights do the heavy lifting while I cleaned up the scraps. The Fifth Column folded like a lawn chair under our assault. Now we could move on to our real objective, wresting control of London away from Smythe. Yeah, he's kind of the dude in charge, I forgot to mention that. I rallied the Knights of Camelot and the Tommies, launched a freaking trebuchet at Westminster, and went medieval on their gentrified butts. The battle started off great. The Tommies and Knights cleared the way for me while I picked off the stragglers. But that quickly changed when I was assigned to take control of 3 strategic locations. The first location was just down the street, but the road was crawling with enemies. I employed hit-and-run tactics to pick them off one by one. Slow, but effective. Inside, I got some reinforcements to help me clear out the building. With a little luck and a lot of quick saves, the first location was ours. This is where things really started going downhill. The next location was even more heavily guarded, there's not a ton of cover for a good chunk of it, and Kira has abandoned me. I have no clue where she wandered off to, but I never saw her again. Street warfare is real tough when you can't take damage. Fortunately, I do have a handful of soldiers following me around. They make great cannon fodder. Unlike Kira though, they aren't immortal and only last so long. By the time I took control of the second location, they were all dead. I opened up the gates to let in some reinforcements and restocked my supply of meat shields. We slowly advanced the last target and finally raised Camelot's banner over Old Blighty. But the battle's not over yet. There's one more building we need to capture, the palace. And for some stupid reason, I got charged with taking over the entire building by myself. This was a problem. Look at this room. There's something real important missing from it. Take a guess what it is. You ready? Cover. There is no cover anywhere in this room. You can't hide. This is a huge problem when you can't take damage. My strategies throughout this run for clearing rooms have always been send Kira in to distract, or kill them before they have a chance to react, or find a hidey hole from which you can stealth kill them all. None of these apply here. I'm alone with a ton of dudes with nowhere to run or hide. The moment I kill one of them, even if it's with a silent weapon, even if I stay hidden, they spread out and find me in less than 30 seconds and fill my fragile body full of lead. I tried to sneak past them to see if there was a better hiding place, but this room is just a rectangle and there's more dudes in the hallway outside. I got halfway through the room completely unnoticed, by the way. Just wanted to throw that in there because it was pretty impressive, I know. Maybe a fat man would have saved me, but I'm not aware of any being in this mod. There is a grenade launcher that you can buy, but I wasn't really convinced it would make that big of a difference. Also, that would require me undoing 3 hours worth of progress, and I'm already 50 hours into this run, so that ain't happening. I had to take another L here. I'm sorry, guys. I tried, I really did. I whipped out the cons commands and cleared out the first room. This gave me just enough space to deal with the rest of the building legitimately, which was no easy feat, by the way. The next 3 rooms had way fewer goons, but still took me 45 minutes to get through. Every goon here has plasma grenades, full auto guns, and stupid accurate aimbots. This section was just pure pain. I eventually did make it to Parliament and made a frightening discovery. They've all stolen my face. I mean, I didn't think I was that good looking. They're also all named Smythe too, but that's not what's important here. I'm on trial for treason by a wig-wearing robot. I gave the best defense I could, but the game was rigged from the start. Fortunately, the executioners died under mysterious circumstances and couldn't fulfill their duties. I pushed my way up the tower, was forced to ditch all my precious guns, and confronted the head Smythe. He gave a long-winded explanation of why they all stole my face, but don't worry, this is a spoiler-free video. I won't ruin this for you. We then began to kill each other in the most posh way possible. You may have noticed up until now that I've relied heavily on ranged weapons throughout this run. That's because melee on 1 HP is torturous. The good thing is that blocking negates all damage, so this isn't an impossible task I've been given, unlike a couple other things in this stupid playthrough. I got lucky right off the bat when Austin Powers swooped in to save me. But like any good boss battle, this one has stages. Smythe climbed up higher and I pursued. For round 2, I had to do it all myself. I memorized his attack patterns and made strategic use of Vat and Hero to slowly whittle away his health. Finally, I landed the killing blow. He tripped and fell onto Big Ben's minute hand, and I was faced with the difficult decision of whether or not I should save him. Let him drop. With Smythe dead, Camelot took over, and I, despite my best efforts, did not beat Fallout London without taking damage. Thanks for watching. Dog, is this a good mod. I did not mean to invest so much time into this run, but it was just too much fun, man. I hope y'all can forgive me for failing another challenge, but at least I'm honest about it, you know. I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you I did it all legit when I didn't. The Ferryman ride, I'm pretty sure is just impossible, and by the time I got to the palace, I was just out of time. I needed to finish this thing quickly, and I was kind of ready to be done with the no damage part of it. They seriously need to hire Fallout London people for the next game, like, or at least fans. Like, Todd, if you're listening, hire people who actually love Fallout to write Fallout. Don't hire people who have no bloody clue what Fallout is to write your Fallout games, because it will sting. It just will. This has been a long video. I've taken up enough of your time. Y'all have a good night. Captain out. George Washington? Whoa!